Welcome to the WealthAbility Show, where we're always discovering how to make way more money and pay way less tax. There's a huge movement right now, one that we've never seen before, of the United States and a large portion of the population looking towards socialism as a solution to some of our social and economic issues. And we're very fortunate today to have Dr. Yuri Felshtinsky.
So I was born in the Soviet Union in '56. I left Soviet Union when I was 21 in '78. And I left it for the United States. Now, the Soviet Union, of course, as we knew, it was a communist slash socialist country. The United States, where I came, was a capitalist country. And these were two opposite poles of the world. In the Soviet Union, this is very important to understand. Everything was under government control, literally everything. There were no private businesses at all. So if we call it communism, fine. If we call it socialism, fine. That's how it was.
So let me ask you a question. So What's wrong with that? What's wrong with the government controlling everything?
Oh, everything. Everything is wrong with government control. Let's put it this way. In the Soviet Union, a huge state, and this is a nuclear superpower, existed with two very serious, conditions, right? One, that the borders are closed, because the borders of the Soviet Union were completely sealed. And two, that there is no market economy. And this is the main definition. There is no market economy in socialist communist system, whatever you call it, because again, no one knows how to call the Soviet Union. Some people say this is a communist state, some people say this is a socialist state. In reality, this was probably something else. But the main issue is that there is no market economy and there is no private sector at all.
So what we're seeing for the first time in America, a kind of a push towards socialism. And first question I have for you is that, when you've done your studies and when you were living in the Soviet Union, what actually causes that kind of revolution where people are willing to get rid of any kind of economy and freedoms in exchange for that autocratic and socialistic rule? What is it that allowed that? And do you see any parallels with what's going on in the US today?
When we think about socialism, we usually mention Scandinavian countries like Sweden or whatever, Finland or Norway. Europe lived with a very long so-called social democratic tradition. It started in the 19th century. It started with Karl Marx, and it developed into something. I mean, if we look at European countries, you're right. If we compare them with the United States, they're more quote-unquote socialists than the United States, of course. The government is more involved in everyday life. The government has more control. The social security system, or whatever we call it, in Europe is more developed, more widespread. Europe is trying to create a more equal, economically speaking, society. This doesn't mean that there are no rich people in Europe, but it's very much different from the United States. But here's the problem. The major problem, I think, is, and I do not really think that it's not good. I think the United States is very much different from all other countries, including the United States. And this is the view of a person who, again, was born in the Soviet Union, what I think is important. The United States is different because it allows you to have opportunity to become a billionaire in a matter of minutes if you come with the right idea, right time, have ability to create a new business, etc., etc. And that's why we see in the United States more people who were able to create, iPhones and Amazon and Tesla. So this is not by chance. This is because the American system is built this way.
That was an issue in Russia, that you had a lot of people that had absolutely nothing, and you had some people that had an awful lot, and so you end up with a revolution. So
in a very different way. In a very different way. You see, in the Soviet Union, money didn't actually play a major role. Technically speaking, or officially speaking, all salaries were almost the same. I mean, a low salary allowed by the law would be literally, I'm talking about literal figures, 62 rubles and 50 kopecks per month. And a high salary would be like 300 rubles per month. So it's very easy for you to see that the difference would be 5 times. This is not the most important time, the most important point. The most important point that it actually wasn't very important how much money you are getting, how many rubles you are getting as your salary, because connections would be the most important.
what do you think about this trend, certainly by the American political left, towards socialism? What's your view of that when we see Bernie Sanders and AOC and even President Biden really going, and even Nancy Pelosi going very far left of where we've ever been before?
I'm in a difficult situation, honestly, because on the one hand, I do believe in capitalism. I do believe that this is very important, that people know when they think about something new, when they have new ideas, when they think about new business, that they know that they would be allowed to build this business and the government or tax system, whatever, would not take this business away. And I know that without this belief, the United States would not be able to be the United States, which we know for the last, well, which I know for the last 40 years when I live here, right, which I live here. At the same time, we have to agree that those people who are doing well, and there are a lot of those people, and I see them, and I know them, and some of them I know personally, have to somehow to agree to carry some responsibility for the well-being of society. Indeed, I think it's dangerous from the point of view of risking a revolution when a huge percentage of population is unhappy and considered itself to be below, level of the level of human existence which should be respected by everybody. You see, in other words, when you see one homeless person, it's fine, 2 is fine, but when we understand that it's a major problem, I think everybody, including those people who are doing quite well, have to understand that it's their problem as well.
If you could make a suggestion to the general public, entrepreneurs, business owners, and anybody, what would be one or two things that you think we could actually do ourselves, not the government, but a couple of things that you think that individually we may maybe should be doing?
You could be nice. You could give money to charitable organizations. Unfortunately, the problem is more serious than this. I do not think that this will help. Some people, as we know,
you think this is more a function of we need to let our elected representatives know what we think they ought to be doing?
well, again, but the issue is that they need to understand what they really want to achieve and they really want to do. And I think at this point, no one actually has this clear understanding what should be done. We have quote unquote conservatives who are against raising any taxes, because their argument is that, look, every time we increase taxes, nothing is changing. And I have to say that that's probably correct. You have liberals or whatever you call them who are saying that we need to increase taxes because this is the only way to deal with the problem. And, well, probably if there is more money to deal with the problem, there are more possibilities to deal with the problem. But at the end, we see that nothing is changed. If we talk about New York, these are the main issues: the homeless people and the trash on the streets, right? And I think both of those issues could be resolved. And then the city would look differently. And then prices, by the way, for real estate in New York would go up. And in the end, this would be economically profitable for everybody.
I like it. Just remember, everyone, when we get educated, and this is not our typical program, but I wanted to make sure that we had somebody who has a very different perspective, having grown up in the Soviet Union, and see this idea of socialism, that it's not good, bad, it's degree, and and we do have problems that we need to solve. And when we do that, we know that we're always going to make way more money and pay way less taxes. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the WealthAbility Show with Tom Wheelwright. Way more money, way less taxes. To learn more, go to wealthability.com.